What is up? Welcome back. Matt Hanifan here. Today we're going to be talking about something near and dear to my heart, at least through this early portion of the 2024-25 NBA season. But before we do that, please go like and subscribe. Please go check out all of our other Vendetta Sports Media content at vendettasportsmedia.com. In addition to our other YouTube comment at Vendetta Media, which you can find ticker at the bottom of your screen. Now let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn was drafted number 28 overall by the Phoenix Suns in the 2024 NBA draft. He's been one of the surprise stories throughout the NBA. I wrote a post about this the other day for vendettasportsmedia.com. Please go check this out. And today we're going to be talking about this development that he's made months after being drafted, his weakest trait, I should say, his shooting. Now I went into some, I put some tape in here. I just went in depth about his shooting and his lack thereof coming out of Virginia. So please go check that out when you have the opportunity to. But let's just go back to my pre-draft. This was the draft profile I wrote on him in early June. My pre-draft take of him and why I feel like such a big idiot, but I'm also very happy to be a big idiot at the same time. Dunn was one of the best defensive playmakers when he was in the ACC. That was his bread and butter. He was one of the best defenders, I think, in the 2024 NBA draft class. He had 6'7" plus 7 wingspan, 39-inch vert. He had 3.6 stocks during his sophomore year. He only played 2 years at Virginia. He led the ACC in both blocks per game and block rate. He was a pretty good rebounder for his position. He could do multiple different things. Like, he was very good, obviously very good rim protector because of how good of a shot blocker he was. He was a multi-positional defender to where he can go out and switch on to, more agile guards, ball handlers. He could defend multiple positions at a really high level, I think. But his biggest knock was his shooting. Now, if you just look at it, he only shot 52.5% from the free throw line for his career, 23.5% from 3-point range. He wasn't a good floor spacer. What he was good, he was good at rim running. I don't think they utilized him enough as a rim runner, pick and roll threat, as a handoff initiator. And when you're a non-spacer, whether you're in high school, mostly college in the NBA, but at really any level of basketball, you want to have those skill sets in your bag, just so you could be functional offensively on the floor at a given time. I liked when he was able to get to the rim and finish, but there were times where that would happen. It wouldn't be consistent. Like Virginia, I mean, we all know the story by now. Tony Bennett, his offenses were one of the slowest tempo teams in the entire country. They generated shots, but they would wait until the super duper late in the shot clock. The shot quality wasn't always great, and so they were always low scoring, all that jazz. And so there wasn't many possessions that Ryan Dunn was able to have that opportunity to get several field goal attempts per game or whatnot. Just looking at his college stats, he only averaged 2 points. I mean, this is his freshman year where he hardly played, despite playing 31 games. 13 minutes a game. He averaged 6 attempts a game. As a sophomore. Again, he was one of their worst offensive players when he was on the floor at a given time. He shot 20% from deep his sophomore season, 31.3% as a freshman, in a much smaller sample. 52.5% from the free throw line, two and a half free throw attempts per game. It just wasn't a lot in 28 minutes. When you look at the 23.5% and the 52.5%, these are just not. These are indicators that he's just not going to be a good 3-point shooter or a good shooter at the next level, unless you have undergone massive development, mechanical changes, what have you. And guess what? He has. It's crazy. So this is a 4-game sample. We're only a week old into the NBA season, so this can mean nothing in 2, 3, 4 months. But just looking at it. He shot 43. He's shooting 43.8% through 4 games. He's 7 of 16. 69.6% of his attempts have come from 3-point range, which is just crazy to me. And this is after. Let's pull up Real GM here. They show preseason stats. So let's look at his preseason numbers real quick. He shot 13 of 30 from deep, 43.3%. 30 of his 38 attempts came from deep, which is That's over 75% of them. That's just crazy given where he was at just a few months ago in college, like 54.8% field goal percentage, but 20% from deep. Like if you look at it, his total attempts, let's see, 7 of 35 as a sophomore, 5 of 16 as a freshman. His 3-point rate was 25.8%, and then 16.8%. So 17% of his shots were coming from deep as a sophomore, 19% for his career, which again, kind of a small sample considering he didn't get many shot attempts, but it's enough to suggest that he just wasn't a 3-point shooter when he was there. And so now that he's shooting 43.8%, he's knocked down 3 threes twice in one preseason game. Let me pull up his game logs. He filtered preseason. There was a game against the Nuggets where he shot 6 of 11 from deep. Then he had one where he was 1 of 5, 3 of 5, 2 of 6. So not great efficiency in those 3 games, and then 1 of 3 in 20 minutes. But 6 of 11 in 30 minutes. He had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Okay. But it's just crazy to me. And like you turn on the tape, and I mean I don't have tape loaded up here, but like if you can go back and find YouTube clips of like him shooting in college versus him shooting in the NBA. Like I'm not a shooting doctor, nor will I ever try to be a shooting doctor or whatever. But I feel like to me, like when he was shooting in college, again in the limited reps that he had a wider base. Sometimes like his lower half was inconsistent, and that like that can limit your explosiveness as a shooter, that can limit your accuracy as a shooter, just on a shot by shot basis. And then when you're just looking at him in the NBA, like everything just looks more fluid to me, especially in his lower half. His upper half, like the mechanics were never bad, but I also think it's a little bit quicker at the NBA level, and like it just feels like to me like even in summer league, they were asking him to shoot threes. Let me see if I could pull up some league stats really quick. Like it wasn't good. 34.4% field goal percentage in 4 summer league games, 11 of 32 from the floor, 1 of 13 from deep. And so that's not half of his shots, but that's close enough to where like you can see, or at least there were minor details in summer league suggesting that they wanted him to shoot more threes. And like that's just that kind of coach that Mike Budenholzer's always been. Like he's always preaching for his guys to shoot more threes. And yeah, he only made 8% of them, but obviously they did a lot with his mechanics, they did a lot with his reps, and like that just goes to show that confidence and reps can go a long way. The closest NBA comparison, like I'm not good with NBA comparisons, admittedly. I'm just not. But the one that I could think of was like Herb Jones, just because of how good of a defender that he was coming out of Alabama. Like just looking, he was a 2-time SEC All Defense. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year his last year there. He was the Player of the Year as well. You look at his college career, like his first 3 years at Alabama, he shot 23%, 43.8% from the floor. It was on significantly low volume, so I mean he wasn't really a shooter at all. He knocked down 35.1% of his attempts as a senior, but just look at the volume, like 1.7 3-point attempts to 8.8 field goal attempts. Let's see, that's 20% of his shots were coming from deep as a senior. So like there wasn't much there to suggest that he would be shooting threes at an incredibly high clip, nor efficient clip at the NBA level. I mean, he wasn't a terrible free throw shooter his last year, 71.3%. But again, like if you just look at his first 3 years, 54.9%. So like obviously he was working on a shot a lot throughout his collegiate career. It improved as a senior, but it wasn't to where like evaluators and pre-draft guys would be like, yeah, this is definitely going to translate. Not that he ever had like super poor form, or anything like that. And then you just look at him like he was a similar frame to Dunn as well, like 6'8", 210. I know Basketball Reference, they have him at 6'6", 216, even though his college 6'8", 208. So like in that same ballpark. And he shot 33.7% as a rookie, 33.5%. So he was around 33.5% his first 2 years on pretty low volume, 2.2 attempts to 7.4 field goal attempts, 2.5 to 7.6. And then last year he shot a career high 41.8% from deep. This year he's off to a slow start, but I think that'll progress back to the mean a little bit. But his 3-point rate, 29%, 33%, 46%. Again, Dunn's is just completely different because he's just jacking threes. Again, 69.6%. Like he came in as a guy out of Virginia, and obviously they drafted him in Phoenix. Phoenix obviously wasn't that good defensively last year. They had some good defenders. Royce O'Neal's fine. Devin Booker, I think, has improved as a defender. Josh Okogie, who was a free agent who re-signed with them this offseason, like they didn't have a whole lot of defenders there, and so you bring Ryan Dunn in, who's going to be willing to take that challenge, willing to take that task, to be that kind of defender that they need, or at least they see the potential in him being at some point within the next couple of years, being at like the defensive playmaker, 6'7", 7+ wingspan, guy who's got a lot of length, who's good with his instincts and whatnot, and can at least eat up 20 25 minutes a night doing that, complementing the rest of the guys on the floor. Because again, you're surrounded by Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Booker, who are three of the best shot creators of this generation. Kevin Durant's one of the best shot creators ever. Booker, I don't know if he's on that trajectory, but he's one of the best shot creators in the entire league. And so Dunn complimented them a lot, but the fact that he is shooting 43.8% from deep already, in addition to what he's been doing defensively as a rookie, which has been really, really encouraging, like they really have themselves a really solid player, like a really, really, really solid player. Like, again, I don't know what his ceiling is in terms of like a player comp. Like, we haven't even seen Herb Jones and what his ceiling is like yet as a player, let alone Ryan Dunn, who's 22 years old, or going to be 22 pretty soon. And not that the 2024 class has been great so far. Like, just if we're looking at it from a minutes played perspective, Risa Shea's one. Bub Carrington's been getting run. Jamal Shedd's been getting run with Emmanuel quickly out. Yves Missi, now that Jones is playing center in New Orleans, Yves Missi's been getting run. He's looked good. Mogbo, a guy who I liked, is getting a lot of run in Toronto. Connect. Edie's been in foul trouble like every minute he's been on the floor, but he's getting run. Ryan Dunn's 15th in minutes among rookies so far. And then like McCain, Reed Shepard, Filipowski, so on and so forth. But Ryan Dunn he's not getting like crazy run, but he's getting enough to where it's like, okay, this should be something that we're taking seriously at some point. Because again, after you go 13 of 30 from deep in the preseason, now you're going 7 of 16 from deep in the regular season. In 4 games, you're attempting 4 3-point attempts per game and knocking down at a 44% clip. Where you're taking 70% of your shots. Like, I feel like at some point, sooner rather than later, we should probably take this seriously if it continues to ascend to this level. Like, that doesn't mean that he's going to be taking 69% of his shots from deep the entire year. That could go down to 65, 60. Once you're on the film, for certain teams are going to find a way to get you out of your comfort zone, get you out of your strengths a little bit, and so that might not sustain itself. But again, I just can't marvel enough like how not broke is the wrong word, but like how bad he was offensively as a shooter at Virginia. And now he's just draining the shit out of just almost half of his threes at the NBA level. Like that, I don't remember ever seeing something like that where in today's day and age, you're in this pace and space, 5 out, spread the floor. Let's make it, as hard for defenses as possible. You're in this kind of era where 3-point shots are at a premium, this, that, and the other, and a guy who lacked such a 3-point shot, and now he's knocking him down at a 50% clip 4 games into his rookie season. He was a 23% 3-point shooter, 24, whatever it was. He was a 52% free throw shooter. And now he's knocking down nearly half of his threes. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything. Again, a 4-game sample that can amount to nothing. But I have never seen anything like, I'm taking this one skill that I'm so just bad at, and now he's turned it into a weapon for Phoenix offensively. In addition to Durant, in addition to Bradley Beal, in addition to Devin Booker, in addition to Tyus Jones, in addition to that, whomever. It's just a testament that confidence and reps can go a long way. Not only in a basketball setting, but a work setting, a life setting. Whether you're a teacher, a doctor, a banker, if you get enough reps and you're confident at what you do, the sky's the limit, man. The sky's the limit. And again, we haven't even seen what this guy's ceiling is going to be like, in 2, 3, 4 years. And I hope it continues ascending upward, even though I look like an idiot for saying that he didn't have a shot pre-draft, even though I think that was what most evaluators thought. So I don't know if anyone saw this coming, but I sure as heck didn't. But I couldn't be more happy to be wrong, because it's awesome to see these guys develop into something and make a name of themselves, whether it's just one skill that they have or 3, 4, 5 skills, an all-around skill set. It's just super cool to see Ryan Dunn make a name out of himself, especially after nearly falling out of the first round in a system that kind of needed what he provided to begin with. I've never been more happy to be wrong if this continues to happen, because this is really awesome for this player, for this team. And it's just cool to see him getting love from like Devin Booker, Mike Budenholzer, all this, that, and the other. It's just really cool to see him getting love in that kind of aspect. So that's all I have for you today. My name is Matt Hanifan. You can go check all of our stuff out at vendettasportsmedia.com, in addition to all of our season previews that we have uploaded on the YouTube channel, that we have on the site, in addition to all of our other NBA content, NHL content, MLB content, NFL content's in full swing, college football trainers, draft notes, UFC with James, and all the great content that he does over there. Please go check all that stuff out, in addition to all of our YouTube stuff at Vendetta Media, which you can find below on the ticker. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time.